Welcome back to episode 15 of the Lay Down podcast. I am back, of course, as your host, Ultra, joined by, of course, Lenny B. Been a couple weeks since we've done this. We've taken a break, but we're back again because the NFL schedule is out and we cannot miss talking about this.
Yes.
Lenny, before we start, do you just have any general impressions from it?
About the schedules?
Yeah.
Uh, I always find it interesting because I think a team like if I don't think it matters as much for the top teams in the NFL, but for those teams that are like bordering on playoffs, it matters like a lot. It's like a very big deal. Uh, so what I'm talking about is maybe like you're not going to win the division, right? But you're still hovering in that wild card range. If you have, let's say, like the Dolphins, well, they didn't make the playoffs. But my point is like uh, a couple years ago when they came out of the scene, they won 9 games or something, and it shocked the world. They had an easy schedule. That's facts. That's factual. But there maybe weren't a 9-win team or whatever schedule they had. I don't even remember. It was so long ago. Oh, they won 10 games. That's right. They weren't a 10-win team, but they had an easy schedule, so they had the opportunity. So I don't necessarily think it really matters for the top teams, though. Maybe you agree. I don't know.
I mean, statistically, the toughest schedule in the league is Kansas City,
I
and
know I saw that.
I'm just gonna say it now. Like they'll be okay. They'll
Yeah,
be able to manage. Um, but like up there, like the Raiders and the Patriots and the Dolphins, like those teams are also up there. The Rams, I think, are up there. They'll be fine. But like those other teams that I just named, like that's tough
that is.
because they're trying to contend for a playoff spot. And when you've got one of the toughest schedules in the league, it's going to be tough to do that.
Yeah,
But when I was going through the schedule, there's so many great games. Like it
there are a
feels
lot
like
of good games.
this year more than last year specifically. There's a ton of awesome games this season. Like it was tough for me to narrow it down from 25 to 10 for games of the year. But me and Lenny are going to do our top 10 games of the 2022-2023 NFL season, just regular season games. Going to go from 10 through 1.
But we get now, bro. I got some awesome preseason games, man.
Yeah. Um yeah, so you guys know the drill. You guys know how this works. 10 through 1. Um yeah, let's kick this off. All right, Lenny, we're going to start with you.
My
What
number
is your
one team.
number 10 game of the NFL season?
My number 10 game. This is. It kind of feels bad ranking it this low, but Week 9, Rams Buccaneers, Rams Bucks. This is a rematch of the playoff game. Tom Brady's last game last year, where he was about to retire, was against the Rams, and he almost retired, losing to that team. You know that's personal. You know that's a personal game, man. You know that's personal from now on. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That it. I mean, the matchups across the board. You just think about in general, just it's a good story. You know what I mean? So it's just a good story. They're two really good teams. They're going to be fighting for a top. This might be a top seed playoff spot too. They might be fighting for the number 1 seed this year, and this game might very well decide who gets the first seed and all the playoff matchups and all that, especially later in the year, Week 9. So yeah, that's why I chose. That's why I chose the Rams and Bucks right there.
Yeah, I've got that game a little bit higher, but it had to make the list. It was just such an epic game last season in the divisional rounds. At number 10 for me, I went with a divisional game. I'm going week 2, Thursday night football. The Los Angeles Chargers at the Kansas City Chiefs.
Ooh,
So I think you could have picked either game of the two, but I just think the primetime game is more epic in Arrowhead, especially more epic, better, just a better crowd in general. Um, it's a matchup between two of the best young quarterbacks in the league, Patrick Mahomes and Justin Herbert, and the Chargers have beaten the Chiefs a couple times now with Justin Herbert, I think. Or they beat them. They beat them last year, and then I think they also should have beat them the other time. and then I think they played in 2020 and it was a pretty close game as well. So the Chargers have shown they can play the Chiefs close. We'll see how the Chiefs do without Tyreek Hill. They probably got it better overall as a team, but worse at the receiver position from that standpoint. The Chargers have gotten better. There's a lot of hype with the Chargers right now, and I'm on that train. And I just think this is an amazing matchup. It's traditionally had some fun games, and it's an AFC West showdown. Who knows what it could end up determining? But at number 10, I've got Chargers at Chiefs week 2.
Yeah, that totally makes sense, man. Chargers, man. All the moves that they made, plus the Chiefs just being the Chiefs. I mean, they had some really good games last year, I think, too. My pick for number 9 is kind of unconventional. I guess it isn't. This is like, it's not like a flashy pick. I'm Ravens Steelers any game. I just know the Ravens and Steelers
Ooh,
whenever they play. I mean, it's just gonna be fireworks, right? I feel like every single time the Ravens and Steelers play, it's just a wild game from start to finish. I don't like have a in-depth reason why, because obviously the Steelers may take a step back this year, and the Ravens might take a step forward, but it's just the Ravens and Steelers, man. It's classic rivalry. It's just they've always had a good game at least once a year for I don't know how long. That's it. I don't really have a big reason for it. It's just it's freaking Ravens Steelers, man. That's classic.
yeah. So I'm. Did you pick a specific week for that, or is it just both?
I mean, I could pick the later one, week 14, but I was like, nah, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, that's certainly arguably the best rivalry in the league, so can't get mad at that. At number 9 for me, I have Week 8 Sunday Night Football. The Green Bay Packers at the Buffalo Bills.
Ooh.
In what will be one of the best quarterback duels, I'm sure, of the regular season next year. Aaron Rodgers at Josh Allen, the back-to-back MVP at perhaps the most talented quarterback in the league. Um, you could argue that they're the two best quarterbacks in the league right now for sure. And I think both of these teams are going to be in the playoffs. They've established themselves as that over the last couple years. They're both very talented teams. It's just going to kind of come down to if these teams can get to the Super Bowl. I guess is how I would say it simply, because they've both been close, but they haven't quite made it.
Yep.
And the Packers have they don't have Devontae Adams anymore, but I would actually argue, as a defense they're much better, and they were already solid last season. So I don't know if they're going to be actually that much worse, at least record wise. They've got a pretty easy schedule, so this is one of the big games on it. And the Bills, I've got a lot of Bills games on this list because I think they're going to be a really fun team, and I think they're one of the best teams, if not the best in the league. And I just love Josh Allen, and I love this matchup between him and Aaron Rodgers. So I couldn't leave this one off.
Yeah, I mean, two classic quarterbacks right there. Josh Allen, freaking arguably the best quarterback in the league, and Aaron Rodgers just won MVP. So I think that's a pretty easy choice to be on the list. So for number 8, I chose Chiefs Bengals rematch of the AFC Championship game. I mean, when you talk about this is similar to my Rams Bucks one. The Bengals beat the Chiefs, and Patrick Mahomes' last play of that game, he threw an interception. You don't think that's going through his brain all off season? I mean, like, there's no way, right? He's thinking about that. That is going to be a team thing. They're going to be pissed off. That's going to be. I mean, the Bengals, they're coming to be a good team this year. They got better after they went to the Super Bowl. I mean, we don't have to get into specifics about why they're better because their offensive line, whatever. You know what I mean? They're better this year, and the Chiefs are still the Chiefs. I still think they're going to be a pretty good team this year. It's just like storyline written all over it. I'm very storyline with these games.
Yeah.
I'm not specific matchups. I'm just I see the storyline, and that really intrigues me because last year it would be really funny actually if they played and they blew another lead.
That'd be that
That
would
would be
definitely
sad.
be telling.
That
But
would be very sad.
yeah, I was very close to making my list. It just missed it. It was like my number 11 or 12 game. At number 8, I do have a Bengals game here. I have
Mhm.
Week 15 Sunday at 4:25 Eastern. The Cincinnati Bengals at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ooh.
And I think both these teams are going to be pretty good, or to very good even. I think they'll both be contending for the conference title. Of course, the Bucks won the Super Bowl 2 years ago, pretty close to getting back last year, and the Bengals just got to the Super Bowl last year. But the bigger reason that this is on the list is because it's the first matchup between Joe Burrow and Tom Brady,
Ooh, that
and
is very interesting.
all of last winter, we were just hearing, is Joe Burrow the next Tom Brady? Is Joe Burrow the next Tom Brady? Well, he's going to get to prove it
Yeah, we're
against.
gonna see.
He's going to get to prove it if he goes into Tampa Bay and he's able to win a shootout against Tom Brady. I think that definitely spiral those takes to come back, and that'd be really exciting. And I just think it's a really exciting game. I think it's interesting to see how the Bucks pass rush does against an improved Bengals offensive line to kind of show as a measuring stick for both teams. And
Mhm.
it is a possible Super Bowl preview. It certainly could be. So at number 8, I have Bengals at Buccaneers.
Yeah, uh, um, can't argue with that. Good pick. Uh, the Niners and Saints I have at 7. I
Ooh,
feel
that's an interesting one.
this Niners and Saints, people don't talk about this. This isn't like a thing people talk about, but they've had a very big, like in the last 10 years, they've had a very good rivalry in terms of like just big games. If you remember
Right.
the last game they played, 2019, I mean, that was one of the best games of the year. That shootout against, I mean, I know shootout with Jimmy Garoppolo, but against Drew Brees and Jimmy Garoppolo, that was a classic game with George Kittle freaking rumbling and tumbling to the field goal range. And they had that one playoff game where you know, we all know what happened. We don't have to talk about it, but uh, they just have a very good. Every single time they play, I feel like it's a good game. And as a Niners fan, I'm totally. There's a little bit of bias there. There's a little bit of bias, but yeah, I picked Niners Saints for number 7. I think the Saints are going to be pretty good this year. I don't know if they're going to be great, but I think they're pretty good.
Yeah, I agree that they'll be pretty good. I just want to say that, in that game, it was the best Saints offense ever. And they ended up losing on the last play because Alex Smith to or I think it was Vernon Davis who
It
made
was
that
Vernon
catch
Davis. It was Vernon Davis.
in Candlestick Park. What a legend.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, at number 7 for me is going to be a rematch of what could have been, and I kind of wish was, a Super Bowl just a couple years ago and last year, and of one of the greatest games I've ever seen. That is Week 12, Sunday, 4:25 Eastern. LA Rams at Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is going to be such a fun game for so many reasons. First of all, these teams should have been in the Super Bowl last year. I
Mm-hmm.
truly feel if it wasn't going to be the Bills, I thought it should have been the Chiefs. And look, the Super Bowl ended up being a great game last year, but I wish we just would have seen this matchup because I think Matt Stafford versus Patrick Mahomes, with the amount of arm talent that they both have, that's such a fun game. They both have offenses suited to maximize their abilities, and I think this game could genuinely be um, a shootout. I don't know if it'll be 54-51 like it was in 2018, but it could it could go off the rails at any time with both of these offenses. I think the matchup between McVay and Reed, two of the best coaches in the NFL, that's certainly one to keep your eye on here too. And again, potential Super Bowl preview. So these teams almost made it in 2018. The Chiefs weren't quite able to hold up their bargain, nor were they able to hold up their bargain last season. So we're potentially, just a couple plays away from this being a matchup between teams that have played in the Super Bowl twice in the last 5 years. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a great matchup between two really good teams.
Yeah. I wasn't around for that game, but I've heard all the stories. I've watched the highlight film. I mean, that was just a crazy game. But yeah. I got for number 6 the Christmas game, Broncos Rams. This is a Russell Wilson like like he knows the Rams. Like he's coming back to town almost, like kind of feeling. It's not the Seahawks, obviously, but it's on Christmas, and it's a Christmas, man. It's on Christmas.
That's
I love.
awesome.
I think both of these teams are very good. I think they have big upside. The Broncos. I think the Rams are just going to be a very good team anyway because they proved it last year. I mean, they got a freaking Super Bowl, but uh, it just sounds like a very good matchup from where I look at it, and it doesn't necessarily have like the big storyline like my other ones, but it just seems like a very good game on Christmas. And what's gonna be better than that, man? I mean, like, on Christmas.
For sure. So at number 6, I have the Week 17 Monday Night Football game. The Buffalo Bills at the Cincinnati Bengals in a game we
Ooh.
were 13 seconds away
Uh,
from getting last season in the AFC title game. But instead, it'll be in Cincinnati. I believe it's the first matchup between Joe Burrow and I want to say it's the first matchup between Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. So that's obviously two of the best young and just overall best quarterbacks in the
yeah.
NFL. Uh, Two really explosive offenses and a Bills defense that we know is very good and a Bengals defense that I think proved a lot in the playoffs last year. And again, this is going to be important for it's on Monday Night Football in Cincinnati. That's kind of fun, and it'll be week 17. We're right at the end of the season. This could be a game for the number 1 seed for playoff seeding, all that stuff, and that's certainly another interesting and added exciting element to an already intriguing matchup. So, at number 6, Bills at Bengals.
At number 5, this is a little low because I had a bunch of other games I wanted to get to, but I have Bills Chiefs. I mean, Josh Allen, I think in this game last year, 13 seconds, we just talked about it, had probably the best quarterback performance I think I've seen of any quarterback in my life. I don't think I'll ever see anything quite like the stakes. The stakes, man. I mean, against the Chiefs, the team that's had their number all like through Josh Allen's career. I mean, in the biggest moment, he just balled out. And not to take credit away from Patrick Mahomes, too, because he had a very good game, too. It just wasn't like the same kind of level. Anyway, I mean, Bills Chiefs, that was just an incredible game. And I can't like not think that they're not going to have a great game the second time they play. Now, I put it a little lower this time because, well, the Chiefs just aren't, I don't know if they're that caliber team anymore just because they don't have Tyreek Hill and they lost Tyrann Mathieu. They have, they have a list. I don't think they're going to be bad at all. I don't think they're going to be a very bad team at all. But the Bills are the best team, I think, in the AFC. And the storyline here also matches up too. They've been the two best quarterbacks possibly in football, two best quarterbacks certainly in the division, or not the division, the conference are going to go play here. And I think it's going to be a very good game. I think so. That's why I put it at 5 and not maybe a little higher than other people might think.
I mean, if you thought the Chiefs were going to be a bad team, I'm sure this game would not be on the list. So,
No.
just in that game last season, this is insane. Josh Allen, 397 total yards, 4 touchdowns, and 136 passer rating. Patrick Mahomes had 447 total yards, 4 total touchdowns, and 123 passer rating.
That's
So
crazy.
just on both levels, and an insane historic performance from both guys.
Yeah.
Speaking of awesome quarterbacks, at number 5, I have a Super Bowl rematch of the most recent Super Bowl rematch we have on the schedule. Week 4, Sunday Night Football. Mahomes at Brady, Chiefs
Yeah.
at Tampa Bay.
Mm-hmm.
This was impossible to not put extremely high on my list. Like it's Patrick Mahomes, it's Tom Brady, it's two teams that I ranked in my top 5 teams post draft, and it's two it's two offenses that are really intriguing because in some ways I think they've gone backwards and in some ways I think they've gone forwards. And it's teams that I think in some ways have gone backwards and in some ways have gone forwards. And just Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady games outside of that Super Bowl game, every game has been close. The AFC Championship was a great game.
D4.
The D4 game, obviously. The first game between the two I think the Patriots won it 43-40 at home in the regular season. It was an awesome game. There was the N'Keal Harry controversial call referee game in 2019, and then in 2020, before the Super Bowl, there was the game. The Chiefs got off to this
Yeah.
incredibly hot start with Tyreek Hill, and the Bucks almost came all the way back, and the Chiefs ultimately held them off. So we've seen some classics between these two quarterbacks, and I'm expecting we get another one this year. And just the hype for this game is going to be rivaled by very few in the season. So number 5, Chiefs at Bucks.
Yeah, man. It's like it's a weird rivalry, right? Because he's played on the Patriots and now the Bucks, so it's a little, it's a little weird like that. You know what I mean? It's different teams, different situations, but still, yeah, I totally agree. I actually had them number 3 on my list, so
Ooh,
well, I'm not number 4, but I'm just
yeah.
letting you know. Number 4, this might be a little bit of a shocker, but I'm putting Broncos Seahawks. This hear me
Wow.
out. Hear
I
me
can
out.
tell
Hear
anyone for
me
the
out.
story.
Hear me out, okay? The storyline, man. The way I thought about it like this, okay? Stafford, the biggest free agent, or not the biggest free agent, but the biggest trade, especially the biggest quarterback move of the offseason was Matthew Stafford to the Rams. And the Lions, not a very good team. Obviously, second overall pick, probably not a very good team, but they've had a great game against the Rams considering their circumstances. I was like, when I checked the schedule, I was like, wait, what? It's competitive? But anyway, I mean, like, this is like Russell Wilson's hometown, man. He's been there for his entire professional career. This is a big deal. He won a Super Bowl there. It's more impactful than Stafford with the Lions for sure. I mean, just because of how much he's done for that city. They were nothing in terms of like, the Legion of Boom, everything that he brought to that place. I mean, it's historic, all of the stuff he's done. And maybe the game isn't great. Maybe the game is a blowout. I don't think it will be just because of this, but maybe it is, right? But anyway, it's going to be a big deal. It's just going to be a big deal. They're going to it can't be a big deal. They traded what, 2 first round picks for him and a bunch of other picks.
A
I
ton.
it's just like it's the storyline is just it's huge, and I think they'll actually do a pretty good job considering Pete Carroll's had him for the last like I don't even know how many years. 8 years it's been.
It was 10 years,
10 years.
2012 to
It's 8-10.
2021.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, that is certainly from a storyline perspective. I would say one of the best games in the NFL, and it's in week 1 too, so that adds
Mhm.
to kind of his first game. His first game outside of Seattle will be played in Seattle. So that's a fun little irony there. But at number 4 for me, I have Week 17 Sunday Night Football, Los Angeles Rams at the Los Angeles Chargers. I think
Ooh.
this is going to be another potential Super Bowl preview here.
Mhm.
This is an awesome game. Just an awesome game. I mean, you look at the superstars for the Chargers: Matt Stafford, Khalil Mack, now J.C. Jackson, Derwin James. For the Rams, Matt Stafford, Cooper Kupp, Aaron Donald, Jalen Ramsey. Superstars on offense for both teams, on defense for both teams. The LA battle, and two
Brandon
teams that
Staley,
I
Sean
think
McVay.
Brandon Staley coming back against his old team, Sean McVay against his assistant, and just two teams that I think are going to be very, very, very good this coming season. Like I can see this being a Super Bowl preview, as I said. So at number 4, I have the Rams at the Chargers.
Also, another thing, I don't know what it is about LA, but they both are going all in, or they both did go all in. Like they're screw
Oh
draft
yeah,
picks, even though technically the Chargers didn't really give up a lot of capital. Anyway, I already put Chiefs Bucks here. I'll summarize since you already laid it out. I mean, Patrick Mahomes, Tom Brady, they played in the Super Bowl. They've had a bunch of different games, but one thing that is interesting also is Patrick Mahomes was said to be the next Tom Brady, even though I don't, I never thought that was really going to happen anyway. But the point is that like it's the guy who's supposed to be the next Tom Brady playing Tom Brady again after he already beat him like how many times? Anyway, yeah, you already laid it out pretty well. So I'll just next one.
At number three for me, another game that you already kind of laid out. Week 6, Sunday, 4:25, Bills at Chiefs.
Mm-hmm.
It's at this point it's Manning Brady like between the two. Both teams are going to be very good. They're going to be both in the playoffs. They may even face each other again. So whenever these games are played, they're always big games. And that it's gotten to that point between the Bills and the Chiefs. I think this is probably the best rivalry going in the NFL right now, just in terms of the meaning of the game and how both teams kind of rise to the occasion. I think what we saw in the playoffs last year, both teams really rose to the occasion. They wanted that, especially on the offensive side of the ball. Trey White, hopefully back for this game. Tyreek Hill will not be in the game, and he was there last year. He made such a huge impact on that game. But Patrick Mahomes, Josh Allen, two really good teams. You summed it up. It's going to be a fun game.
Here,
Number
I
three.
just remembered something. Wasn't Tyrann Matthew out of that game or no? It was something.
He
Wasn't he like?
didn't make an impact if he
I
did
don't.
play.
I don't. I don't know why that came up in my brain, but I thought about it. Anyway, number two. This is. I don't know if this is going to be like the best game of the year or anything. This is like the. It's not the reason. This is because this is the first game that we're going to see after how many uh, weeks or months and almost like a year of watching football. It's Bills Rams, man. I mean, it's a great game on paper. At the very least, it already is. We talked about potential Super Bowl matchups. This one right here. I mean, it's Monday night. I mean, Thursday night football. The first game of the year after how many times? I don't. I mean, I don't care who's playing. They could be the freaking Panthers versus the Jaguars. I am hyped for Week 1 first game, man. I just want to see some football, man. I mean, and for it to be such a good matchup like this, Bills Rams. I hope it's similar to the Cowboys Bucks game we got last year because that was an awesome game just to start the year on. It really got the momentum flowing for what a crazy year it was in 2021. But yeah, Bills, Josh Allen, Rams, Stafford, Bills, Sean McDermott, Rams, Sean McVay. They won the Super Bowl. Bills maybe could have went to the Super Bowl last year. I mean, it's just a bunch of stuff, man. It's a great game to start the year on, I think.
It isn't. It's an excellent game.
Wait,
At number two, I have another game that you already mentioned. Week 9, Sunday, 4:25. An NFC divisional rematch, the Los Angeles Rams at the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. This is for me kind of the reason, partly the reason Tom Brady came back.
mhm.
It just it didn't sit right with me that the greatest winner in football history ended his career a loser. It just doesn't seem right, does it?
No.
And Tom Brady's coming back. This is a team that I believe he has yet to beat as a Tampa Bay Buccaneer. He lost him in
I
2020.
was going to say, yeah, yeah,
Lost
he
him
was a Buccaneer.
twice
However,
last year. And Matt Stafford's actually 3-0 against Tom Brady in these last 3 games. These are, in my opinion, the two most clutch quarterbacks in terms of if I have one drive to save my life, I'd take Matt Stafford and Tom Brady over everybody else in the league today. Um, these are two teams that I believe are the two best teams in the NFC currently. It's going to be a game that might be for home field advantage, and just a great matchup between two very talented teams. We'll see if Todd Bowles has a better idea now as head coach of how to stop Cooper Kupp. Um, that's a tough job, but similarly, we'll see if the Rams can stop Chris Godwin now that he's added into this game. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun, and this is such a huge game, such an important game, and there's a lot of I think there's genuinely bad blood a little bit between these two teams. I think there is a little bit of rivalry there. So at number 2, I have Rams at Bucks.
yeah, no, you know Tom Brady's like. just livid at the Rams coming into that game.
By the way, the other thing, he's beaten the Rams to win his first
Oh,
Super Bowl, to win his
yes,
last
that's
Super
right.
Bowl as a Patriot, and he also just lost to them. It's such a weird thing with the Rams in him.
That is interesting, actually. And the first Super Bowl that he ever won was against the Rams.
Yeah, I just said that.
Oh, sorry. I thought you said the one he beat him already. Sorry, my bad. I was listening. Anyway, the number one team. This isn't the number one team for anybody but me. This is not a number one game for anybody but me. But I don't care. It's my list. Niners versus the
You guys
Raiders.
knew it.
Niners Raiders. Are you kidding me? Are you for? I have to wait 4 years. Every 4 years, the matchup of the century: Shanahan versus McDaniels, Trey Lance slash Jimmy Garoppolo versus Derek Carr. I mean, come on. It's late in the year, too. Playoff push. I mean, like, I'm going to have to. These are two teams that we can see both in the wild card race, like I was saying before, about how, like, in the middle, maybe you don't, not sure who's going to make it. The last games really matter the most. This is a game that could really decide both of their seasons. Like, I'm serious. Like, it's really that. I think it's really that important, just because these teams are both teams. I don't know. It's somewhere in the middle where we just don't know for sure if they're going to make the playoffs or not. And in Allegiant Stadium, the Niners and Raiders, the West Coast rivalry. I mean, for me, I can't get enough of it. I might even go to that game.
Yeah, it's a really fun matchup. Just even taking out the Lenny element from it. It probably doesn't crack the number one spot on any other list, but I wouldn't be shocked to see it high on other lists. I actually considered it, but just missed it by
Could
like
have
it
did it
was it
just
was
for
in
me.
my top it was in my top 20. I'll say that. But my number one game is the game you just mentioned just before this.
Mm.
It is how we're gonna open the season and potentially how I think we're gonna close the season. Um, it is the Buffalo Bills at the Los Angeles Rams. So often we see um, Super Bowl champions not have to play the best team on their schedule open up. I don't, the game last year, Bucks and Dallas, like that was a really great game, but it was kind of a surprise because I don't think we really expected Dallas to be a great uh, team last season. So to watch them put up the fight that they did in that game was really fun and really awesome. Um, but we also got, we got Chiefs Texans a couple years ago that was really boring because the
Mhm.
Texans weren't a very good team.
I remember that game.
The Rams are being given the toughest possible test on their schedule to open up. I hardly remember that. I mean, I think the Ravens played Denver one year with Peyton Manning, and then the Packers played the Saints one year to open the season. But outside of that, we rarely see teams given their best opponent. It is the Super Bowl champions versus the Super Bowl favorites. It is two of the strongest arms in the league, Matt Stafford, Tom Brady, two of the most fun and best quarterbacks. It's two really good offenses and two pretty good defenses, I would say. Two really complete teams. And what probably just was a couple plays away from being the Super Bowl matchup last season, and again could potentially close the season uh, as the Super Bowl matchup this season. So, and these teams played in 2020. That was the game where the Bills had a 28-3 lead, and they almost blew it, but
Yeah.
the Rams couldn't quite finish that deal. So the Bills ended up winning, and that was, if we get that again, that'd be a lot of fun. So Bills Rams for me, best game of the year.
Oh! I was looking through the list of teams who played. Broncos Panthers had to play 2016 right after the Super Bowl. That's just sad. Like that's just sad for like the Panthers. I mean, like they have to play the Broncos right after they just beat them.
Yeah, I mean, so there's been a lot of good, there's been a lot of interesting openers for sure.
I know Patriots Steelers in 2015. I remember that was good. Wasn't there like controversy with that game?
Um, I don't remember that being a great game. I remember Seattle killed. There were a couple games there where it was like there was a really good Packers Saints game. I don't know why I keep referencing this. There's a really good Packers Saints game. There was the Denver game where they annihilated the Ravens. I remember Seattle kind of handled Green Bay. There was obviously the Kareem Hunt game with the Patriots. There was a depressing night to be a Falcons fan to open the 18 season the way we closed the 17 season against the Eagles. And then the 2019 year, obviously, that was a 100-year anniversary, so they put the oldest rivalry in the league, Packers Bears. So, yeah, those are our lists. Leave your guys' list in the comments. I'll post this on Instagram later. And yeah, Lenny, any parting thoughts here?
No, I just wanted to say I'm a state champion. That's all. Yeah, I have a ring. That's why I have the ring. That's all I wanted to say. Just flex that.
All right, guys, respect the ring. All
Respect.
right, thanks for watching, guys. God bless.